I think I figured out who the villain of Spider-Man Brand New Day is gonna be. So obviously we have Spider-Man Brand New Day coming out in July, at the end of July. We still have yet to get an official trailer released, and we also don't know officially who the main villain of the movie will be. And we also just got Wonder Man at the end of last month, which does tie into my theory on this a little bit, so we'll talk about that a little bit later. But the only other confirmed MCU project coming out before Spider-Man Brand New Day is Daredevil Born Again Season 2. We also know that Punisher is going to be showing up in Spider-Man Brand New Day. There's also supposed to be a Punisher special. I don't know if it's set to come out before or after Spider-Man Brand New Day. I don't think there's an official date for it yet. But we're also reportedly supposed to see Punisher in Daredevil Born Again Season 2. So I feel like that could tie in with Brand New Day a little bit. And we also know we're supposed to be seeing Hulk again in Spider-Man Brand New Day. Hey guys, before we continue the video, I just wanted to say about 95% of you guys that watch these videos aren't subscribed. So if you're not subscribed, please go down there and click that subscribe button. And also, if you enjoy this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And also let me know down in the comments your thoughts on who you think the Spider-Man Brand New Day villain is gonna be. All right, now let's get back into the video. Also, the other day there was this site that had a banner for like Spider-Man Brand New Day because they were supposed to have like merchandise for the movie. And with that banner, we got confirmation of 3 villains that will be making an appearance in the movie in some capacity. Those being Boomerang, which was also already a rumored villain, Tarantula, another one who was also a rumored villain, and honestly, in my opinion, the biggest one being Scorpion, which again was another rumored one that had basically been confirmed already, but now we have official confirmation. Also with that banner, we did get official confirmation that Hulk will be in the movie because I guess technically it was still only rumors. Another villain that has been confirmed is Tombstone is going to be in this movie. And then it has also been heavily rumored that we are going to see villains like Ramrod. We're going to see the Hand in this movie. Another rumored villain is Jackal as well. And then we're also rumored to be seeing 8-Ball, which I do think is kind of cool that we would get to see 8-Ball because I know there is a tie to Moon Knight in the comics with 8-Ball. So I wonder if they would ever kind of do that a little bit. But it's also been heavily rumored that we're going to see the Enforcers as well in this movie. And more specifically, we're supposed to see Fancy Dan, Frederick Froswell, Ox, and Montana. And to my knowledge, there are certain instances in the comics where Montana is the Shocker, which we've already seen a Shocker before in the MCU with Spider-Man Homecoming. Also, real quick, taking a step back with Scorpion, I do think it is important to note that he will be in this movie and it's going to be Michael Mando reprising his role because we did see Michael Mando in the end credit scene of Spider-Man Homecoming with Vulture. And I do think it is important to note because I do think they are going to try and set up a Sinister Six because Scorpion has been a part of the Sinister Six in the past. So honestly, I would expect us to be getting an actual Sinister Six lineup very soon in another Spider-Man movie. Also, another very heavily rumored possible villain for this movie was Mr. Negative for a very long time. And it has been like, I guess, confirmed by certain leakers that Mr. Negative isn't the main villain. Some I've seen have say that he's not even in the movie at all. I do agree that I don't think that Mr. Negative would be the main villain, although I wouldn't be surprised if we do get him showing up at some point, whether it's end credit scene, just a little back and forth sequence, him being like the leader of Feast or something like that. Also, along with Mr. Negative, another rumored potential main villain was Wilson Fisk because he is currently the mayor of New York as of Daredevil Born Again Season 1, although this is honestly probably the least likely to be the main villain, and that's just because there's a rights issue with his character, because there's a whole issue where because like Sony technically owns the character but also Marvel owns the character, they're allowed to use him in TV shows but not in movies. And going back to my point before of Wonder Man being one of the 2 projects that we are guaranteed to have gotten prior to Spider-Man Brand New Day this year, because a big piece of Wonder Man was the Department of Damage Control. And we already know that they are having sequences with the Department of Damage Control and everything be a part of Spider-Man Brand New Day, because we do know that stuff is happening with the Supermax prison, the prison that we just saw Simon Williams break Trevor Slattery out of. And obviously, the Department of Damage Control is not a stranger to the Spider-Man movies, and we have had the Department of Damage Control show up in multiple other projects before. before. I think technically their first appearance was in Spider-Man Homecoming, but the Department of Damage Control characters that we know of now didn't show up until Spider-Man No Way Home. And then they also showed up in Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, and most recently in Wonder Man. And when it comes to the Department of Damage Control, the main front-running character that we've seen so far has been Agent Cleary. He was the one that interrogated Spider-Man, and then in Miss Marvel, we saw him finding out about her, and then in She-Hulk, we saw the Supermax prison, and we had mentions of the Department of Damage Control and everything. And then most recently in Wonder Man, we had Cleary going after Simon Williams. So if you haven't gathered what I'm putting down already, I believe that the Department of Damage Control is going to be our main villain for Spider-Man Brand New Day. And I think that's going to stem from obviously what happened at the end of Wonder Man with Simon being able to break out Trevor. They're going to then be like, oh, these people are dangerous, and they're going to start going after all these people with superpowers like they already were doing with Simon, but they're going to be doing it on a more mass scale. And I think Spider-Man is going to be one of the people that they go after. Now, another thing that I think is really important is that Tremel Tillman is going to be playing William Metzger in this movie. And with that character, it is rumored that he is meant to be the head of the Department of Damage Control. But what's even more important about the character of William Metzger is that in the comics, he is the leader of the anti-mutant militia. So I believe that essentially what they're doing is they are going after specifically mutants with the Department of Damage Control, but they're not explicitly saying that. And it is also rumored that Sadie Sink's character is going to be Jean Grey, and that the Department of Damage Control is going to be going after her. So again, an example of the Department of Damage Control going after another mutant. And I do think that at some point throughout the movie, whether it's in the middle or near the end, I do think the Department of Damage Control is going to get shut down, disbanded, whatever. And then we're going to have William Metzger go and start the anti-mutant militia. And that's how we're going to get introduced to more of the X-Men characters, more mutant characters, and how we're going to see the Sentinels come into existence. And they are going to be the first villains, or one of the first villains that we end up seeing in the X-Men reboot movies. But yeah, we have about 5.5 months until this movie comes out. And I'm telling you right now, I bet that the Department of Damage Control is going to be our main villain, and they are going to become an anti-mutant group. With all that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.